Hi. Have you ever tried to calculate the cost of a breach in your organization? If not, let me tell you, it is very complicated, but there are a few things that you need to have in place before that ever happen. Here, I'm going to mention a few for you. So, if you perhaps you haven't tried or haven't given a thought to it, but consider this: one of the most important things for you to understand and have this discussion beforehand is establishing the unit of calculation, right? And I don't mean, we're going to calculate in dollars versus euro or anything like that. It's quite simpler approach than that, right? It is identifying what you're going to calculate and what you're going to consider as a cost of a breach, and the organization need to agree upon. Here, a case scenario for you. Let's say you get a compromise and you start calculating the breach, and you notice that certain operational risk policies drive towards to calculate any money that was spent in a recovery or in a breach itself that was not part of regular operation. Meaning, if the breach hadn't occurred, would you be spending this money today? That basically narrows down what would be part of the calculation. And that's what I mean having a common unit for calculation. So this way you know that you will only use those dollars to calculate the risk. That make it simple. So you add those. That would be initial, right? You're going to add more stuff to it. However, that would be one to start. The other would be, even with that well-defined criteria, is still not very clear, because you will have other costs that once you document those costs, it would be sort of hidden. And what I mean with that is when you classify them under expenses, they might end up part of operational expense budget for events that occur in your network, not necessarily tied to a breach, but day to day. A server went down, need purchase new servers, new purchase more licenses and so forth. So you go to that operational budget, business as usual. So it might not show up as a breach calculation. So when you go back in your lessons learned, you go back to try to trace the cost, you're not going to right off the bat correlate that expense to a breach. So it becomes a little bit difficult. So you need to understand what your measure of unit going to be beforehand and flag all these costs. So later on, you can calculate the cost of your risk. Now, there are a lot of other costs related to that that usually goes under the radar. For example, the staffing cost perhaps is not accurately calculated, because the staff that is working the recovery or the investigation of the breach might be the same staff that take care of the servers or the database or your network on a day-to-day basis. So it will be business as usual umbrella, right? You're going to be under their umbrella. You're not going to have that special cost calculation for that. The other thing is that usually is not calculated under is project downtime, because the staff now they're supposed to be working on your IT projects or developing applications or deploying new environments and so forth. They're going to be rerouted to work on this incident, and you will not be able to calculate, or we're not going to be aware of that the project now is on hold until the staff that is working on that can come back to the project itself. So those are other costs that are hidden that usually are not observed, making it difficult to calculate the cost of a breach.